Well, unfortunately, it did indeed happen in the end. Fulham matched his release fee. He's gone, unfortunately. Thank you, Richie Dean, for your services to York City. Nothing we could do about it to keep him around, unfortunately, this time. Does mean, though, of course, we've had to make acquisitions. More on that after the intro. Hey guys, what's going on? So yeah, unfortunately Dean has gone, and so has Genie actually as well. So for Dean, they matched his 1.8 million release clause, and we get 50% of that, and I got about £700,000 to put into the kitty. I don't get the full 100% for the transfer. Genie's also gone for £500,000 up front and 250 over time, other add-ons and stuff as well, I think, in there. It's kind of one of those ones where it's an offer where I ummed and ahed, but ultimately I just couldn't turn it down because, let's be real, Genie's never really performed properly, and those cons are probably the reason for it. He's had issues with injury when he has been here, and he's not always been here because he does play for Mozambique every time there's international duties. He doesn't relish big matches, and he's inconsistent, which is something we've seen now that statistically he is pretty good for this level, and you can see that they're 3 stars. Good for the senior team, potentially better. But he never really set matches alight as such. And you look at his career stats, brought in on a free, of course, so selling him for 750,000 is another 100,000 potential in add-ons. But selling him for 750,000, I've just recorded the Blackpool match. I just think I need to say this up front. I've done all this once without my microphone being on. So highlights or the goals for the Blackpool match will follow. So he's already played a match for Notts County now. Yeah, never breached 7 average. First season he was here, placed there 37 times, 6.7 was his average. So better this year, but still, I think cashing in on Genie when he's playing better is sensible, really. So, of course, with Dean being gone, we had to go back in the market. I'm not going to lie, I went really simple on my searching. I said, can I have any homegrown players who have release fees? And Ben Squires has one at Sputvergruther Firth. I'm sure that's meant to be pronounced some way. I should have Googled it beforehand. But weirdly, a very similar origin story to Richie Dean. It's coming from, I presume that to be German. Yes, it is. It's coming from a German club. Of course, Dean came from Karlsruhe, who got the other 50% of his transfer. But yes, £275,000, nothing extra because it's a release fee, £1,600 per week. He is admittedly worse than Richie Dean, as things stand, but development-wise, I think he potential abilities in a similar ballpark, potentially. But yeah, he is a little bit worse at this point. Better physicals, it must be said. Mentally worse on average. And technicals, I'd say on a similar total, but they're in less useful places for a ball-winning midfielder, put it that way. He will step into that position for the rest of the year. I basically just searched all the positions for homegrown players. He was the only one that kind of stood out as acquirable at this point in time. So, yeah, 10 and 11 in the bits that actually matter isn't great. Of course, concentration and positioning not great either, but decent work rate, decent bravery, and physicals more than enough to cover for the rest of this season. He might end up being moved into a more central midfielder role next year if we can get a defensive midfielder in the summer. And with Genie going as well, I figured it might be well worth getting a player in just for the time being, just to get another natural in that position alongside Garver Hickman for the rest of the year. At the very least, he is here until 2026, is Ilyas Shurev. His contract did run out at the end of the year, but I think £170,000 to get him in now, rather than chance it at the end of the year, is useful, particularly as we didn't need someone now, because, well, beyond Garver Hickman, you're basically just stuffing people in there and hoping for the best. But crossing 15, dribbling for 14, first touch 14, techniques 13, passing, off the ball, flair, anticipation, the physicals that matter for that position pretty good. He's not great stamina-wise. And his inside forward isn't great, but he does have a reasonable foot. So we might actually play him as a winger on that left-hand side rather than inside forward. Long shot's not brilliant, but realistically, all the stats that matter for this position are pretty good. And he is essentially a stopgap for a player who joins us next January. And I'm going to run you through all those players who join us in future transfer windows now. So the player he's filling the gap for the time being is Enrique Jesus Alonso from FC Andorra. Joins us next January. Yeah, so he has 4 under-21 caps already for Andorra. He is an inside forward, which is the main thing, really. Decent stats already for a 17-year-old. It does still got another year, of course, for him to develop in the background, hopefully. Fingers crossed he gets something. But it's really the potential that drew me to him. It's another release fee we've matched for this guy as well. It's sort of one of those ones I did, £160,000. If he matches the potential, then woohoo! In the summer is Velasquez, who operates the Mazzara role, which of course is being occupied by Sabara for the time being. That's why I went for a loan signing in that particular spot this year, was because I knew it was going to be filled fully next year by Nicolas Velasquez, who is already better than DK, who plays there, or who played there before we got Sabara in. Some good stats already. Again, still 17, got another half a year's worth of growing for the time being, maybe. It might be a case of the ones where we shove him in that position, just hope he developed. But 5 under 20 caps for Colombia already is pretty good. Joining us from Santa Fe. It's actually a fairly hefty deal, this one. I think it works out about £900,000 in total, but only about 300 up front. And then the player I forgot to actually show you at the end of last episode, I talked about Richie Dean's potential replacement. And this is him, from Glentoran, Stephen Burrows, tackling 16, which is way higher than any other fullback I've ever seen at this age, at this level. Ridiculous, really. Some good mentals, some good physicals. Going forward isn't too shabby. The rest of his fullbackness isn't too shabby either. He's not brilliant, I'm not going to lie, but he's also 18, joins us at the end of the year. 221 caps for Northern Ireland as well, for good measure. So if Clark doesn't sign a new contract at the end of the year, he does step in as a 2.5-star option to Clark's 3. Most importantly, has more potential than Clark. So that's the main thing, really, is 3 young players who may be, strictly speaking, worse than the current players in those positions, but have potential beyond them. And the one match played in between Huddersfield and the Blackpool highlights you're about to see is Doncaster 4-0 away from home. Taylor Garland hit when Hugh King, Nissel and Borges on that score sheet. Very good performance from us. 4-0 away from home. Admittedly, Doncaster in the relegation spots, but still. 4-0, another high-scoring game. Good to see us on that front. 4 goals, none conceded. They didn't really do too much, so due to still only 6.9 because goalkeeper ratings. Now you're going to see the Blackpool goals. So enjoy those. It's obviously the first games for both Squires and Shuref. Have fun. The commentary might be a bit weird, of course, because I wasn't entirely certain how I was going to deal with it at the time I realised... Well, when I realised the microphone wasn't taking noises in. So enjoy the goals. I'll see you afterwards. Right, so I've been recording and there's been no volume to my speaking, so I do apologise for that. This is the Blackpool match. I'm just going to give you the goals now. That player I'm going to come to. In fact, this is probably actually going to... I'm probably going to insert this after the transfer bidder, so you'll know about Shuref by this point. Never mind. He's scored on his debut. Well, Blackpool have equalised from a set piece. Oh, let's not start that again, shall we? Yeah, Dutra just left completely wrong-footed there. Here it swings in. He's onside. And, well, there we are. He's just headed it past Dutra, who doesn't really jump all that well. Well, the match finished 1-1. We destroyed them in a sense, but we just couldn't convert. Anyway, back to the normal episode where I'll be talking live properly. This is going to be weird. I've now got to redo all those transfers, but you're going to see that first. Yeah, so 1-0. Not great. Shuref gets a goal in his debut, though. That's about it. And now we're live again because I didn't click through to the Walsall game, which was probably a bit stupid of me at this point. By the way, for a 21-year-old goalkeeper, he's developing quite nicely now. Normally, goalkeepers take a little bit longer to develop just because their peak is a lot later. But he's now leading League One level. Good Lord. By the way, real player, so if he's available in your world, find him. This is, of course, the game we have in hand. I just realised, of course, because it was postponed. I don't know why I didn't realise that when I was talking about the league table last time. But Lincoln have won theirs, which is the important thing, which does mean we do need to get a draw barest minimum. Ah, I didn't actually know that. I might have mentioned this before. I can't remember if I mentioned it before, but I had forgotten. Lee Tao is homegrown club at the end of the year. Now, I don't think Championship is really any different to League 1, League 2 in terms of registration nonsense. So I think homegrown club players are still important at that point. Of course, when you get to the Premier League, it's a different system, but it's a registration system for Premier League. It's a match day system, I think, every other tier below that. So having Lee Tao on that list, as well as Clark if he stays, and of course South, is going to be useful. Having 3. Good Lord. Really hoping it was going to be better. What a name, though. Michael Benedictus. So yeah, we are playing alone right now, but a few little injuries, of course, but none of them matter, of course, apart from the Vokins one, which was pre-existing. That does mean the team will be exactly the same as it was before. I just need to find a replacement for Tavares on the bench, who is also homegrown. I guess we stick Smallwood in there just because he can cover defensive duties if need be. It's not great. So the team is as follows: Dutra in golf. Shao Nan needs to pop in at left back. I have to say, actually, I'm going to give Evers back a go on the right hand side because Lee Tao's performances recently haven't been amazing. The team is as follows: Dutra, Shao Nan on the left back, Borges, Egger and Clark are right back, Squires, forward in midfielder for the time being, Nacelle and Sabara in the middle, Gardner Hickman on the left, Evers back on the right, and King up front. I think Shurev might have played in the under-23s match as well, just to get some match sharpness. I'm slightly confused because obviously he scored last time round, so that can't be the 6.3 that's been marked as his latest match. We are actually unbeaten in a very long while. It's about 8-9 games in the league at this point. And add in the FA Cup as well, it's gone quite well. Of course, we did lose in the EFL trophy at some point during this section, so it's not unbeaten total. I'm actually kind of mad because if we do get promoted, then not being in the EFL trophy means I can't win it. So Shao Nan scores 1-0. But yeah, if we do get promoted to the Championship this year, that means the EFL trophy was actually my only chance last year in the end. Which is a shame that we did come up against Reece Nelson and company. I don't really feel like I should call it the Arsenal under-23s, considering the players they had available to them. Just unfair, really. But anyway, 1-0 us, Walsall, and Shao Nan's got a goal. Second of the season. So yeah, we are playing by ourselves, of course, right now. Been a while we didn't play on the Tuesday like everyone else. A point keeps us ahead of everyone, actually. But it would keep us on 62 points with everyone, rather than leaving a bit of a point buffer. King surely offside at that point. No, went down as a goal kick. Like his movement there was so good I thought it was offside. Well, no highlights, but with the abbreviated highlights for Blackpool and this one so far, at very least it balances out the increased transfer dealings I had to deal with and wasn't expecting to. I did want to bring you 2 games today. Like 2 games I had to really bring you because it's being sandwiched by 1-game episodes. I suppose I brought you 1.5. But anyway, Edgar. Admittedly, there weren't really that many more highlights in that Blackpool game. Only sort of a couple of close chances. There was a woodwork, I seem to remember, and that was about it. Sabara smashing the post immediately after their equaliser was basically the only other highlight of note in that game anyway, so we should have talked over it and brought you that. Speaking of, here we are, Evers back, coming forward. Not quite. Gardner, Hickman, King's on the end of this. Yeah, straight at the goalkeeper. Straight at the goalkeeper. Evers back on a 6.4. Right-hand side of attacking midfield problematic this year. I mean, mentally, Lee Tao hasn't been bad. He's just not been good recently. Had a very good start, carried on his momentum from the previous season where he was fantastic. Oh, well, they've nipped that ball, and Sergio. It's on the verge of the clean sheet landmark for us. It's February. Gardner Hickman. Cross to Sabara now. Evers back. Can he sort out... Oh, that stopped on the post. That was a weird one. And that was a noise I will not attempt to repeat. Hugh King, though, not on his best. Right, he's going to abdicate for South. And yeah, we will bring Lee Tao on as well. Neither of those two playing particularly well. 6.8s pretty much across the board otherwise. It is 1-0. I keep forgetting we are actually already in the lead here. Ben Squires on a 7.5 though. Good game from him. Despite not actually doing anything of note that's appearing on here. Fair enough. I'm going to move forward a little bit and bring Jajalo on. Like, straight speaking, he would be technically better in the midfield. Even though he's a very awkward player because he's got sort of like 1 or 2 key stats missing from basically every role in midfield, apart from just bog standard central midfielder. That was annoyingly close. It's a really weird situation, Ben Squires. I'm hoping he develops some of those weaker stats so they kind of ends up in a more clear midfielder role than just either midfielder. 13 shots on target, 1 goal. What's their goalkeeper ended up rating-wise? 6.9. He's made 12 saves, evidently. But 100th appearance for Lee Tao. Eversback's 50th, Sabara's league 50th appearance. I'm going to argue say we got away with that. Like, Walsall aren't a bad team. They are 7th. And stay 7th, of course, because no one else was playing. But a win here took us back to the top, and everyone's now on 32 games, apart from 2 down here, which don't really factor into anything we're focused on. And sort of all of a sudden, there is now a bit of a buffer to fall out of the playoffs entirely. 9 points to Walsall, who we just beat, of course. Coventry on 58 too, so that's 6 points behind. So yeah, a decent buffer to stay in those. Only 2 points, of course, to Lincoln in third. I would like them to come up with us just because it's personal. And that is 10 unbeaten in the league. So, of course, tomorrow is Tottenham in the FA Cup 5th round. A lot of games to get through in the meantime, including, annoyingly, a trip to see Genie already. But Tottenham is next. Portsmouth in that a lot as well, but we already did Portsmouth Barnsley at the start of this year. So Tottenham is next. A lot of games in that middle that are super important. Notts County, MK Dons are up there. Ipswich, of course, beat us first time round. Portsmouth are at the top with us. Barnsley, okay, probably the only one that we don't really need to deal with of any importance anymore. Tottenham, though, the big game. So I'll see you for that tomorrow. Until then, ta-ra. It'll be a normal structure tomorrow. There'll be talk before a match, there'll be a match, and there'll be talk after a match. No interjections. Until then, ta-ra.